Hi, I'm Virginia Morgan, and I am in the Master of Second Language Acquisition, Policy, and Culture program. And today I will be giving you a brief introduction to strategies that employees and employers can use to help with a more positive employment interview while dealing with applicants who have an accent other than English. The Oxford Dictionary defines an accent as a distinct mode of pronunciation of a language, especially one associated with a particular nation, locality, or social class. For most North Americans and many people around the world, English is the dominant language by which society operates. When a person speaks English with an accent other than what the native speakers are accustomed to hearing, it can cause stereotypical assumptions and affect that person's credibility and ability to communicate. DePress, Sims, and Morris, who are researchers, state in their research that understanding the impact of accents in the workplace is important because accents can be salient in the same way as ethnicity, age, gender, and skin color, and may be a source of employment discrimination. I've chosen a case study that was conducted at the University of Houston by Holly Carlson and Monica McHenry to show the correlation between accents and employability of certain people. The research test subjects for this case study consist of 3 female University of Houston undergraduates. All 3 were between the ages of 18 and 19 and were born in the United States. One of the females was of Puerto Rican descent and spoke Spanish. The second was born in a southern U.S. state, and the third was from a family that spoke Cantonese and Mandarin, as well as English. There were judges that were hired for this test, and they consisted of 60 working HR managers. They all worked in different types of businesses. There were 12 African American judges, 3 Hispanic, and 45 European North American judges. All of them were between the ages of 23 and 59, and they were predominantly female, with 14 being men and 46 being women. Their experience in human resource management ranged from 1 year to 30 years, whereas their education also ranged from 0 or no college to a few having a doctoral level degree. A prepared script was read by all 3 female students, and it was the same script that was read by all of them and recorded using their accents. The scripts were recorded in 30 to 45-second increments, and the female students were told to read the script with both a strong accent, or how they normally would speak with their family, as well as if they were trying to speak with a lesser accent. A copy of the script that was read and recorded can be seen here on slide 4. The judges were given the audio recordings, not knowing which female student recorded what, and the recordings were rated using a 1 to 7 scale, and they were rated over employability and comprehensibility. The judges were told that this was for an entry-level position and to assume that all of the students or all the qualified applicants had basic qualifications needed for their business job openings. Because not all of the HR judges worked in the same type of business, discretion was based on the simple answers that were given by the script that was read. The ratings were measured with 1 being the least likely to employ, or 1 being having difficulty in understanding, to 7 being most likely to employ or easy to understand. The judges also placed the possible candidates in accent and dialect categories of Spanish influenced English, Asian influenced English, and African American vernacular English. This test was conducted in hopes to determine the effects of the speaker's ethnicity, amount of accent that was used, and the perceived comprehensibility and how employable they each were. The table on slide 6 shows the comprehensibility results. As you can see, the ratings show higher with the minimally perceived accent than the maximally perceived accent. We can also see that the African American vernacular English dialect scored a higher rating with the minimal accent, and yet the Spanish influence scored higher with the maximal perceived accent. The Asian influenced English student scored the lowest on comprehensibility. On slide 7, we could see the employability results. The scores showed that the Spanish-influenced English showed to be more employable with the minimal accent, as well as also with the maximal accent. The African American vernacular English accent speaking student scored the lowest on employability. With this analysis, we can see that different speech styles can still yield effective communication. We also can note that those with a minimally perceived accent don't affect employability, so no accent modification therapy would be needed. The research did show that a maximally perceived accent had a lower rating, so those individuals may benefit from an accent modification therapy. We can even dive down as far as why the Asian-influenced English student had a lesser score for comprehensibility and come up with strategies based on ethnicity, but for now, I will show you strategies for overall accent modification. On slide 9, I list a few strategies for employers. First, organizations should use structured interviews to reduce the odds of accent-related biases that may affect the evaluations of the applicants. Studies have shown that the more the questions being asked are job-related, the more valid the evaluations are. Those that are doing the interviews should also be well-trained. Having multiple interviewers also aids in reducing accent-related biases. The interviewers should be selected by those who may have international experiences and who do not view accents in a negative way. Having a sufficient amount of information about the interviewee ahead of time can also decrease accent-related stereotyping. A few strategies for employees would be to have an accurate understanding of the target language's phonological system. This is how sounds are organized and used. This would also refer to the rules and how sounds interact with each other. Evidence suggests that acquiring pronunciation is no different from acquiring syntax. In this respect, students need help noticing what they are doing. Use of computer-assisted language learning technology has been beneficial for some students when they can hear and mimic certain key accent structures that are evaluated based on consistency. Employees wanting to reduce accents should view pronunciation as a priority in order to become more employable and to increase comprehensibility. When looking at strategies for language educators, textbooks should be designed specifically for ESL teachers to teach pronunciation. The researchers and teachers must also ensure that the information they provide is accurate. Teaching pronunciation of words and sentence structure versus alone is also beneficial. Language educators should teach phonological form to help students notice the differences between their own productions and with those of proficient speakers in the LT community. This could be where computer-assisted language learning technology could also help. Researchers Derwing and Monroe state that the distinction between the letter B and P should be taught to students as a difference in breathing, such that B requires inhalation while P requires exhalation. These breathing techniques that follow certain rules must also be recognized by educators in order to teach students the correct pronunciations or accents. So in conclusion, you could see with research and evaluation of possible job applicants, there may be needed of accent modification strategies. This will help with higher rates of credibility and comprehensibility, as well as employability. There are many other case studies that have been done on this topic that show similar findings. One must question whether certain ethnicities need the modification over others, but that is for future discussions.